and oh crap, I have just dropped like a million stitches. Hi guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you as always from Germany. Today is Saturday, it's the 25th of May 2019. I had to think about that one. And I am just so glad that you're joining me today to talk about some knitting. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I really am so glad that you're here with us today. And if you're coming back, thank you ever so much for being a regular or semi-regular viewer of this podcast. You've made it back, that's the first step. Anyhow, before I start, thank you so much to everyone who left comments last week on last week's podcast. That was very kind of you guys, and I really truly appreciated that. So thank you to everyone who agreed with me and just sent me some very nice and upbuilding messages. So for today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about some finished objects, works in progress, acquisitions, and possibly a little bit of life in general. And that'll be it for today. It's going to be a really short one, partly because it's already 5:30 and it is light, but it's kind of weird weather, so the lighting may change pretty quickly. And also because I just got back from a very exhausting shopping trip with my mom, which was so much fun and hilarious, but I am super tired. Just wanted to get a quick episode out for you guys, and then I'm just going to sit down on my couch and not move again until tomorrow, for which we have big plans too, but let's not talk about that. It's supposed to be all about knitting, and today it's not even a coffee show because guess what, you guys, I'm having water. I know, what's going on with that? I have had so much coffee today, and at some point enough is enough, even for me. So there we go. Today my friend Coffee is sadly not with us. Okay, let's get serious about this podcasting thing. So, finished object, I am wearing it, of course, and this is the Pavement Sweater by Vera Välimäki. The Pavement Sweater I've talked about and knit many times. This is my fourth one, even though it's my first one for me that actually fits. So I knit my first one too small, and back then I did like a fadey version, and it still hangs out in my closet, and I need to figure out what to do with it. And then last year I made two for my two sisters, and they really like them. My sister actually wants another one. Fifth pavement may be happening, but maybe not. Anyhow, this is my fourth one and my second one for me, and this one actually fits really well. I did one size larger than last time because I love the construction of the sweater. You can see here the raglan increases are somewhat different to your regular raglan top-down sweater, but that tends to make it a little bit tighter around the shoulders. Even this one, it has a bit of a funny fit, but this one actually works pretty well for my shape. Maybe I should stand up for a second. So this is a top-down sweater. It has like a dipped hem, which I didn't do. Instead, I did a split hem, and I have no idea if you're seeing what I'm showing you. And my neighbors are walking past. That is awkward. So I made the back longer than the front. I made it twice long, which I really always enjoy doing. And of course, as usual, I did my own sort of increases and decreases. So I did quite a bit of body shaping because I didn't want this to be super boxy. I did like 3/4 length sleeves, and again, I think the pattern makes you do a garter band like I did, but I just kind of made it the length that I liked it. And because I'm lazy, I decided to actually knit those garter bands flat, and then I just seamed them up, and you can see there's a tiny seam, but I think it doesn't look bad at all. I could have made it more invisible by doing it on the inside, but I think it's actually not a bad feature at all. So very happy with this. I've been wearing it a couple of days now. I'm really enjoying it. The yarn that I used is a yarn by Lana Grossa of their Wool Addicts range, and this is their Love base. I didn't bring any of the balls with me to show you guys, but this is a, I think, 92% merino and 8% nylon base. It is really soft. And I just really liked it when I found it by accident because it's this slightly, just very, very slightly marbled color, and I just thought this would be a good sort of staple to wear all the time. And I think I will actually wear this all the time. Like, it's not very colorful, it's not very noticeable, but it's just a nice classic to have in the wardrobe, and I do really like the color. So yeah, my pavement is done. I'm very happy to have it done, actually. And I think that's all I have to say about it. As usual, all the details about this and all of my other projects can be found in my project pages. So if you're interested or you didn't understand anything that I just talked about, needle sizes and such, just check the project pages. So that is it for my finished objects. I feel like this week has gone so quickly and I haven't had much time to knit at all. But the other main thing that I've been working on is another sweater, which I hope to have done, but that didn't happen. And oh crap, I have just dropped like a million stitches. Let's fix that, really. And we're back. That's what happens. I have 3 needles on this sweater and one of them got caught in something and I just dropped all of the stitches, but I have picked them up again. Panic averted. There we are. This sweater is, of course, my Arata sweater by Jennifer Steingas, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. This is a top-down sweater. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I've been talking about this every week. But the good news is I have finished the first sleeve, and I am so freakishly close to finishing the second sleeve. I think I have about 6 or 8 more rows of rib to go. And that is not according to the pattern, that's just because I've been doing whatever I want with the sweater and now I'm just knitting the second sleeve to match. So again, these are going to be 3/4 length sleeves. Why? Mainly because I played yarn chicken once again. This is all the yarn that I have left, and I still have 2 needles in the bottom of the sweater because I do want to make the body a little bit longer. So you have to make sacrifices somewhere, and I decided to sacrifice the sleeves. I'm so sick of playing yarn chicken all the time. I'm going to buy more yarn in the future for sweaters because this is annoying, by the way. But anyways, this yarn is yarn from Norway. This is a yarn from Pickles, and it's their pure wool base, which is, as the name suggests, a pure wool base. I think it's a non-superwash yarn, and I really like it for color work. I feel like this color is called terracotta, but I may be making this up, so don't trust me. But I really like this yarn, and I think I'm going to wear this sweater a lot once it gets colder again, because for once it is actually quite nice and summery. So that is my Arata sweater. Again, I think with all of my sweaters that I'm going to show you today, including this one, I used 3.5mm needles. Not that that matters, but yeah, anyhow. That is my Arata sweater. I had a hope of actually getting that done this week as well, but that just didn't happen. But I'm thinking it should be done by next week for sure. Now that I've said that, it's probably not going to happen, but it's not that much work left to do. So I just really need to get cracking on it, and that'll be that. All right, let's stay on the topic of sweaters before I then show you stuff that you haven't seen before. I'm also still working away on my no frills sweater, which is kind of like a no frills sweater because it doesn't have any mohair. I talked about this again in depth last week. I'm knitting this sweater out of a yarn that I got in Paris. This yarn is La Bien-Aimée in the Andromeda, I don't know how to pronounce it, colorway, in their Merino Sport Space. So this is it. This is their logo. I have 3 skeins of yarn, so what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be playing yarn chicken once again. The story of yarn chicken never ends in this podcast. And it usually doesn't stress me out, but lately it does. Because I have to keep making shorter sleeves and shorter bodies than I want to, because I'm just cheap and I don't want to spend money on an extra skein of yarn, and I really should start doing that. Anyways, I'm knitting, like I said, the no frills sweater, except I'm not doing the mohair thing. I'm just knitting this as a sport weight sweater. And in comparison to last week, you can see the stitch marker where I was last week, so really nothing much has happened. I'm still increasing for both the body and the sleeves. This is a top-down sweater. At some point, I'm going to be stopping to increase for the sleeves and only increase for the body, because this pattern has very, very big shoulders and I don't really need that. And I'm really looking forward to the day when I can separate for the sleeves and just knit on the body, and this will be a whole lot quicker. But yeah, this is where we are. The yarn is absolutely beautiful. I'm alternating skeins using the helical knitting technique, which if you're interested and you don't know what that is, just type it in on YouTube and you will find lots of tutorials for it. And yeah, nothing too exciting to tell you guys about this. I haven't been working on this that much. I just picked it up once or twice last week, and I think this is going to be a really nice sweater once it's done. So that is it on the sweater front. One sweater almost done. One is going pretty well, so very happy about that. And also I'm just so happy to have the pavement done, because I've been working on that since my honeymoon, and that's been about 6 or 8 weeks, so it's about time to have that finished. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rushing this. I really don't mean to. It's a matter of caffeine and no time, and knowing that Kai is going to make dinner eventually, and the timing of that dinner is not going to change depending on whether I do this quickly or slowly. And if I mess up, it will all just be disasters. Whatever. What am I talking about even? Anyhow, I have some new projects. Actually, I only have one new project, but that's better than none. So I was train knitting the other day. I went on another business trip, and I did not only want to take my hand spun socks. So I decided to give myself a little treat and allow myself a new sock cast on. And I've been meaning for a very, very long time to knit some socks for Kai's sister, because I know that she would really, really like some, and I just never got around to it. So I just packed this yarn. This is one of the balls of Bergère de France in their Gumi 50, which is their sort of self-patterning, I think it's a merino nylon sock base. And this is the colorway. So it's just a really nice self-patterning sort of red pinkish color. Kai's sister said she didn't want pink socks, but I think the socks are not really pink, they're more red. So I think we should be okay. And if not, they're really, really pretty, so I will just keep them for myself. But I just cast on a pair of top-down vanilla socks, because you know how I love my vanilla socks, and I just needed some easy train knitting. So this is where we are. I am really, really enjoying the yarn. And I think this is going to be a very pretty pair of socks. I'm going to be going on more trains tomorrow, so I'm going to be taking this project as well as another sock project, and hopefully make some really good progress. But yeah, so this is one cast on, and for this I went down to 60 stitches because she has tiny feet on my usual 2.25 millimeter US size 1 needle. And these are actually some new needles that I've been working with for a couple of weeks, if not months now. You may know that I usually knit my socks either using Haya Sharps or Chaogu Red Lace, and I am not sponsored by either, by the way. But the other day I needed more sock needles, so I also got a pair of these, which are Haya Steels, I think they're called. So they're like the Sharps, except they're less sharp. And you know what? I'm really, really enjoying them. I used to be all about the really sharp metal needles, but these are just, they're still sharp. And I'm actually really, really enjoying them, possibly more than the Haya Sharps. Like the cord, I think is pretty much the same, except it's green instead of blue. And yeah, I'm really liking them. So I could see myself knitting with these more in the future. So that is one pair of socks. And then another pair of socks that went on the business trip with me and is also going to go on the train tomorrow is, of course, my hand spun socks. So these do not have their ends woven in, but I showed this to you last week as a work in progress, and this is some hand spun. This is yarn that I spun from a merino nylon braid from Das Mondschaf, who is Sabrina. And this is a chain-plied sock yarn. Again, I talked about it in a lot of detail last week. And I'm just knitting some socks out of it, and I'm really enjoying it. So this is the first sock, and you can see it's really fun and strappy, which is why, because when I spun this, I split the fiber up quite a bit into very, very thin strips. And then, of course, by applying it and like chain plying it, I got these really short runs of color, and they are making really fun sort of stripy patternings. So this is a close-up of how the stitches look. I think it turned out to be a really, really fun sock, and I mentioned last week that I'm really happy with the sock yarn as well. There is one thing, this very light stripe here at the toe, which is not a very fortunate place for this. I spun it very, very thin, so it's looking almost a bit too thin. So let's just hope that that will hold. But I think it should be fine because it is quite a high twist yarn. And I finished these on the train, and I had no what's it called? No darning needle with me to do Kitchener stitch. So instead, I actually decreased down to, I think, 8 stitches. And then I just cinched them closed, so now I just need to find a darning needle now that I'm home and weave in those ends, and I have a very nice rounded toe, which I actually like. I used to do these toes in the past. Besides that, I did a fish lips kiss heel, and because the yarn is slightly thicker, I used a 2.5mm needle and only 60 stitches. And I have casted on the second sock. I'm not very far into it. So far, it's a very dark sock. But that is where we are with the second sock. And like I said, hopefully I will make some progress on these tomorrow as well. Also, I hope I'm not going to be running out of yarn. I don't think I will be, but yeah, I don't know. There's a theme to all of my projects, isn't there? What's really interesting is the fact that with all of my hand-spun socks, I always realize that knitting them makes my wrists hurt more than knitting with commercial yarn. And I'm not really sure if that is a fault of the yarn or whether that is an unconscious thing where I'm always so worried about my hand-spun yarn not holding up that I tend to just knit it very, very tightly. And whatever it is, it's not as comfortable to knit with. So I need to work that out, but I think it's pretty much mostly in my head, and I'm just so worried about, like I said, the yarn being too gappy, the sock being too loose that I just tense up and then my wrists hurt. So that's why I'm taking 2 sock projects, because I know that if I'm just knitting on this tomorrow for 4 hours, I'm going to be very mad and also be ruining my wrists. And there's no way that I want to be unable to knit because I knit too much on something that wasn't good for me. So that is that, and that is actually it in terms of my works in progress that I'm going to show you today. I do still have my love-hate relationship with my night shift shawl. I think I'm just going to bind it off. I think I'm just going to bind it off and block it, and either it's going to be a nice shawl, and if not, maybe I will just, I don't know what I'm going to be doing with it, but I've seen some people who have made bigger night shift shawls, and just the way that this shawl is shaped, they tend to be super, super deep triangles, and I don't need that either. So maybe I should just have a good look at it and then bind off and hope for the best, even though I know I should probably just keep it and work on it, but I don't know. I don't know, you guys. Besides that, the only other things that I have on my needles are my several blankets, and I don't really care about them. They will just get finished whenever they get finished, so I think I'm doing pretty well. If only I finished that shawl, I would be really happy with myself. In terms of spinning, I showed you last week my big, long draw woolen spun sweater project. I have spun another huge bobbin, but there is no real point in showing you a bobbin of singles, so I'm just going to be showing that to you more as I finish further skeins. So that means now that it's actually getting very dark and possibly rainy outside, very quickly I'm going to be showing you my acquisitions that I teased last week but didn't show you. And this is the yarn that I bought for myself as a birthday present to myself. And that is also the only time this month that I have broken my yarn diet. So, I mean, I broke it by quite a bit, but I'm still pretty happy with myself. And it was my birthday, so I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Besides the fact that I'm super, super happy. So let's bring out this huge box of yarn. I'm not really sure how I'm going to show this to you. So I picked up a yarn that I have been wanting to get so badly for a very, very long time. I actually held it in my hands when we were in Paris at La Bien-Aimée, but obviously I had gone to Paris and to La Bien-Aimée to buy their yarn and not to get more, and I was on a limited sort of suitcase thing. So whatever, I didn't get the yarn then, and I have been thinking about it and looking at it for months and months and months, and on my birthday night I decided to just treat myself and buy myself some yarn. So the yarn that I'm talking about is this yarn. This is the Rerum Natura, which is a French yarn, and it is one that I think a lot of you have possibly heard about before. It's a very popular yarn, I think, at the moment. It's a woolen spun French yarn, and it is super soft and sheepy and non-superwash, I think, and it's perfect for color work and all the things that I love. So I got the Ulysse, I would pronounce it, base, which is the lighter weight base, and this is, I think, about a fingering or sport weight. It says Rerum Natura, laine merino cardé, 185 meters per 50 grams. So yes, I would say heavy fingering to sport weight yarn, which means I could probably knit it at a DK weight gauge because I have a loose gauge, or I tend to like knitting on a loose gauge as well. And honestly, I bought this colorway because I love the name. It's called Poivre et Sel, which means pepper and salt, or I guess salt and pepper. So I got myself a sweater quantity of this colorway. And I also got myself a second sweater quantity of this colorway, which again, how beautiful are these colors? I could have really just bought their entire range and would have loved every single one of them. This one is called Lagon, which I am thinking maybe the French word for lagoon, but maybe I'm just making things up now. So I got myself two sweater quantities. And because you know I love color work, I also got myself a couple of single balls to match. So I can't really remember what I was thinking, to be honest. I think I was thinking something along these lines for the blue. I don't know what I was planning to do with the pink, because that doesn't really go with anything. And then what I also really like is this combination. This color has me so tempted. I really wanted to get a sweater quantity in this as well. This is the Jeannette or Jeannette colorway. Don't ask me what that means. And this is the colorway that a sweater by Emily Green, which recently just aired on Ravelry, is knit out of in this exact colorway, even though she used the heavier weight version of this yarn. And I really want a sweater in this colorway as well, but I have a couple of similar, although more yellowish and less greenish sweater quantities in my stash. But anyways, I just got a couple of single skeins, and at the time when I got them, I had a plan of what I was planning to do. I kind of forgot, but with these things, I always feel like I would love a sweater just in this yarn. And if I do that, then I can always just make color work, mittens or whatever with the rest. Or I just have some options if I do want to do something different. Like, that's a beautiful color combination. But also, I mean, this could be fun. So I just really, really love this yarn, and I'm so happy to finally have some in the stash. I'm not going to go through all of the colorways because I think that's quite boring, but that is what I got. That is my big birthday haul. I am very excited about it. You can get this yarn at a couple of places in Germany. I got it from Yarn Over Berlin, which is a yarn store in Berlin, as you may have guessed. And it came and shipped and everything really, really quickly, so I was very happy about that. Alright, so that is it in terms of my acquisitions. My voice is going and also the light is going. So that's perfect timing to just very, very quickly veer into some life in general before I then sign off and let you do your own thing. So in terms of life in general, it's just been really, really busy. I'm feeling much better than I did last week. Thank you to everyone who sent me nice words about that as well. It's been a tough couple of weeks, but I think we're getting better and things are looking up, and I'm definitely feeling much better and thinking about all the yarn and all the knitting, which is definitely a good thing. Like I realized, I bought all this yarn, but this was a couple of weeks ago, and I just realized that I haven't really been thinking about buying yarn, which is a serious sign that something is wrong. But that feeling of wanting to buy yarn is coming back, so that is definitely a good thing. Again, I'm faffing with my hair, and I know that everyone will hate me for it. Oh well. What else has been happening? Work has been work. I've been traveling quite a bit, and next week is going to be similar. But besides that, yesterday, which was Friday, my mum came to visit, and we went out for dinner. And she actually stayed here overnight in the craft room with all of my yarn. And I was like, don't you leave the windows open when you have the lights on, because I don't want my yarn to get eaten by moths, because I have priorities. Anyways, and then today we just went into the city of Munich and did way too much shopping, and worse than that, way too much walking and way too much coffee. So it was really, really fun. I'm very, very exhausted now. Tomorrow, Kai and I are going to Stuttgart for the day to meet some friends. And then it's back to work, but thankfully next week is a short week. So it's only 3 days of work, and then we're actually taking a little bit of off, and we have a bank holiday, I guess. And we're going to go into the Alps, into that little place where we stay a lot of times. And what kind of sentences am I making? You guys. Anyways, so we're going to take a little 4-day trip, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited to just get away for 4 days. And yeah, just knit, hang out, just the two of us, and yeah, that'll be pretty nice. So I think, you guys, that is all I have to tell you guys. It's been a very quick episode, but I thought I'd rather get out a fast and short episode than none at all, because again, I don't really know if next week a podcast is going to happen or not. I think it may. I keep remembering now that it gets dark much later, because theoretically we're in summer, or almost summer. So that makes recording a little bit easier compared to wintertime. So who knows, maybe I will manage to record an episode. If not, it'll just be 2 weeks, but you can always just follow me on Instagram if you want to be kept up to date with what I'm doing, and I do try to post there every couple of days, just so you guys know that I'm still alive. So, thank you so much for watching today's episode. I really hope that you have enjoyed it, although apparently I have forgotten how to speak English. I hope you have a great weekend, you enjoy your knitting, you have some yarn to play with. I'm sorry if I enabled you. Until I see you again, thank you so much for watching. Happy knitting. Bye!